glasses glare is real. I angle my head down. Maybe that's... I think I'm just going to try and keep my head on the down low here. Oof. Hi everybody, my name's Kay. You're watching Amidst the Gray. And today, I'm going to be talking about my best of Capricorn season 2023 and try to minimize the glare. Let's do it. This video is brought to you by Black Spiral from the Tao of Tea. Black Spiral has been a staple in my tea arsenal for probably about 3 years now. It is a Chinese black tea grown in Hunan. It's slightly on the delicate side and does best with slightly cooler water, like in the 180, 190 degree range. I love this tea so much. That was a cattail over my shoulder. For anyone not familiar with the Tao of Tea, they are a Portland, Oregon based distributor. They have a fantastic tea garden downtown where you can eat and sit outside and enjoy a wide variety of tea beverages. And they also have a tea store with a little eatery next door, not in downtown, but elsewhere in Portland. And they sell amazing tea wares and other amazing things. And I will link them. My cat has decided it's time to annihilate her box with her murder mittens. So, scratching noises. I thought it might be nice to actually wear my glasses in this video just so I can kind of see what I'm doing, but the glare is prominent. But we're gonna make do. Just don't look at me. You might blind yourself. Just look at everything else. I thought about starting this video off by saying that it was a little late because we are well into second Deacon Aquarius season. And this is later than I typically would have done it. But I take that back. I'm not going to say that because this is coming out when it's meant to in its own time. And there's really no need to worry about something as minute and inconsequential as when this comes out. It's coming out when it's meant to come out. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm also going to get more tea. This is a Gaiwan, in case you're not sure as to what this is. This is a Chinese brewing vessel, mostly made for larger leaf teas that are kind of rolled or spiraled, as in the case of this, and it allows ample room for the leaves to unfurl. So good. Okay. Best of Capricorn season. I've mentioned in several of my other videos that a lot of Capricorn season was rough. There were germs and sickness, both amongst humans and felines alike. My cat got rotavirus at the same time I had the flu. It was all kinds of not so nice things, for a little while, but there were also some really, really good things, which is what I kind of intend to touch on in this video. Anything I mention that requires some kind of visual aid, I will insert here-ish, just so you can kind of visually see and reference what I'm actually talking about. I have a few different categories, just like I did in my Best of Sagittarius season video. They're mostly like broader kind of macro categories. They're not too terribly divided up. I think I'll start this one the same way I did my Sagittarius season, and I will talk about food and drink first. Food is very near and dear to my heart, so the food's always going to make an appearance in these videos. It's just it's inevitable. It just is. I might have to take my glasses off because the glare is probably bothering me more than it's bothering you. In fact, I'm sure it is, so never mind. I'm going to leave them on. We're rolling with it, people. Okay, food. The first food item of mention is panettone. This was a December thing, kind of all of December. I was first introduced to panettone last Christmas by means of a last minute add in to my Misfits Market box because I saw this thing called panettone and I was nosy, of course, and I had to try it. So I added it to the box. And when it got here, I didn't exactly know what to do with it because I had never seen one before, and I did a little internet research just to make sure I was eating it right. And apparently there are many different ways to eat panettone. Eating it warm with butter apparently is common, but if you don't know what panettone is, it's a dessert. It's an Italian dessert, and from what I can tell on the internet, there's much debate in some circles as to whether panettone is a cake or a bread. And I don't know if that's actually a debate in Italy, if they just say panettone is panettone and that's it. To me, it resembled more of a sweet bread. The texture for me was a lot like a homemade cinnamon roll, really, really similar in texture and in smell and just all around presentation. So I considered it more of a sweet bread than a cake. And it is often filled with some kind of cream filling or dried fruit, nuts, and sometimes it's made with alcohol. It can be kind of boozy. It's almost like a fruit cake, but way better, in my opinion. This version that I had was only cream filled. There was no dried fruit or nuts, but there was this delightful boozy kind of lemon cream. Panettone, amazing. Yes, I love it. So panettone was a thing for me in December, in the December part of Capricorn season in particular. I ate the last little bit on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, that thing was gone. So there's that. Panettone is first mention. As I mentioned, January was not the best as a whole. The December part of Capricorn season was actually quite good. It was positive. We weren't sick or anything at that point. My son did have his wisdom teeth taken out, and he spent a good almost week pretty much recovering from that, but he recovered really well, and he was just slightly uncomfortable for a few days. But other than that, the December part of Capricorn season was actually quite good. When the germs struck in January, I was up and down with appetite. It turns out that apparently at the beginning of the month, I had the flu. It hit me like that. It was acute, it was instant, and it caught me off guard. And I proceeded to have those symptoms for about the next 5 or 6 days. But after that, I still wasn't feeling I wasn't feeling right. And I spoke with a triage nurse, and she heard me coughing. And she said, that is an RSV cough. And apparently I had RSV probably at the tail end of when I was recovering from the flu. It is possible to have them both at the same time. You can have those overlapping viruses at the same time. And apparently that's what happened to me. The RSV kind of piggybacked off of my flu. I did not have COVID. I tested negative. I've taken, I don't even know how many dozens of COVID tests I've taken since this whole thing started. I work in education, and so anytime we fell off, we were able to get tested on site. And every single time I have tested negative. So that I don't think was a thing. With the decrease and increase in appetite, I ended up with some really interesting cravings. And while I had the flu, I was like in the thick of the flu. I was really feverish. I was hot and cold, kind of, you know how you get at the same time. And all I wanted was rice pudding. It was a really weird craving that I had. And I had happened to have made a ton of rice for a few different things that we had had the week before, and I had leftover cold rice. And a really easy way to make rice pudding is just take leftover cold rice, add some milk, an egg if you feel inclined, whatever you want to throw in there, and then just warm it up on the stove and let it meld, and then put it in the fridge, and essentially you kind of have rice pudding. But then I remembered I had some orange blossom water in my fridge. I always have rose water, and orange blossom water is hit or miss. I either have it or I don't. Even if I think to get it, I get it. I had some. And so I decided during my like almost 103 Fahrenheit temperature frenzy, I decided that I was going to make my Lebanese inspired orange blossom rice pudding. That's not at all authentic, but for me, it gets the job done. And in my variation is not completely, like I said, it's not authentic. I put an egg in mine. Egg is not traditionally added. I don't think often recipes I see call for cornstarch as a thickener. I did not use cornstarch. I used egg just because egg pudding, egg custard, it's kind of a thing for me, and eggs are nutritious, and I really felt like I needed that at the time, so I threw an egg in there. So a little bit of egg, some milk, some spices, a little bit of sweetener. I think I used maple syrup for this one, just a touch. I was just grabbing stuff in my kitchen. I don't really even know. I'm pretty sure it was maple syrup. But the texture was not the best just because I was in a feverish little frenzy and wasn't really paying attention, but it tasted amazing and it made me happy. So I did not. Oftentimes, this will have slivered almonds or pistachios on top. I had neither of those things at that time. So I had all the things, just sans nuts. So Lebanese inspired orange blossom rice pudding. That was a win. The one drink I will feature for this little category is my milk oolong from the Republic of Tea. If you have tea typically often in a Chinese restaurant, it will be some kind of oolong tea, but oolong tea is not just kind of that darker brown that you often will be served in a restaurant. Oolong can be quite light, and in this case, golden in color. This is a green oolong. So you can have oolong. Oolong is kind of, the oxidation point is between a green and a black. And so you can have oolongs that lean more on the green side or more on the black side, just depending on how much it's been oxidized. This milk oolong is more of a green oolong, and it brews up golden, just like that in the cup. Contrary to what the title says, there is no milk. There's no dairy in this. The milk refers to the mouthfeel of the tea. It's very full-bodied, almost kind of thick and viscous. It's creamy. It's a creamy tea. It's just naturally creamy. The way it is. This is a rolled tea, and this brews up beautifully in a gaiwan. It's designed for that kind of tea, and it will unfurl, and the leaves get to be about that long when they're fully unfurled. It looks very much like an oaky Chardonnay, kind of if you have it in a clear glass. And the flavor of this tea is unlike anything I have ever had. It's a bit, before I looked at the tasting notes, when I first had this has also been in my arsenal for probably 3 years, maybe even 4. It's been longer than this one, but probably not by much. Before I even looked at the tasting notes of this, I tried to figure out what I was tasting, and I tasted pineapple, and pineapple is one of the tasting notes. And they say sweet cream and pineapple for tasting notes. And the cream I didn't really taste as far as the sweetness, but the viscosity, the mouthfeel, it was definitely there. But I let one of my students a couple of years ago ask me what I was drinking, and I told him what it was, and I showed him the tin, and I asked him if he wanted to smell it. He's like, yeah, I want to smell it. It was at the time he was a 7th grader. So I opened the tin and I let him smell it, and he smelled it, and he did this, and he was like, that smells like popcorn. And I took the lid off and I smelled it, and he was absolutely right. It smelled like popcorn, and I've never been able to get that out of my head now. This is my, I lovingly refer to as my popcorn tea. And I drank a lot of this when I wasn't feeling well, and it really hit the spot. So, Republic of Tea, milk oolong, fab. Next, let's talk about YouTube, because Capricorn season was a season of some interesting little milestones for me and for my channel, and they were kind of exciting, and so I thought I would just talk about them here. Is it time to take the glasses off? Maybe for a few minutes. Okay. So YouTube, as far as my channel is concerned, my little channel, my little baby channel, got a mention on Ethany's channel. If you don't know who Ethany is, if you are watching this from a non-tarot witchcraft divination kind of sphere, she's a pretty prominent YouTuber within that context. And she did a video, I think it was 11 channels you should watch or something like that. And my channel, my baby channel, got mentioned on that video. And I was just stunned. I could not believe that. I was thinking, like, first of all, I'll reflect. I think it was Robin from Robin's Reflections, because she got a mention too, and she was just like, "How on earth did you find my little baby channel?" And that was exactly what I was thinking as well. And yeah, that was just crazy to me. And I couldn't figure out why my subscriber count was going absolutely off the charts. It was that same day. I had no idea why. I couldn't figure it out. And then my friend Rhiannon from Rhiannon Rambles and Readings posted in our Facebook group. She gave that a mention in a post, and I was like, that's why. I was so confused. I couldn't figure out what was going on, because my subscriber count just jumped like tremendously, and I was like, what is going on? There was another thing that was going on too, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, getting mentioned on Ethany's channel, that was a bit of a thing. So thank you, Ethany. That's a little segue into my next milestone, because this was weird. My channel hit the 500 subscriber mark. That being said, it did that not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. 3 times my subscriber count hit 500 and then went back under. And I was just like, what is going on? And that is when I discovered and learned about the joys that are subscriber bots and the occasional purge that YouTube does when they kind of do a little bit of a clean out of spammy accounts. So it was during the same time, because I had like 420 some subscribers, I think, at that time. And then I gained like over 80 in one day. I looked at my analytics. I think it was 83 or 84, somewhere in there. So I had this huge jump. It was that same time I got the mention on Ethany's channel. And then the next day, I was down like 60 some subscribers. So I was over the 500 mark, and then I went back under. And then I went back up, and then I went back under, and then I went back up, and I stayed there. And so who knows if I'll stay there the next time YouTube decides to do a clean out. But yeah, 500 subscriber mark. I hit that 3 times. But it was good. That was a big milestone for me. For context, I started my channel, I uploaded my first video on November 4th of 2022. So that's kind of, for me, that was growth that I didn't anticipate, and I'm very grateful. And I thank all of you for making that happen. So thank you. Next thing, YouTube, for my channel is my little coffee house decks tag past the 1,000 view mark, which was absolutely mind-boggling to me. I could not believe that so many people were watching my weird little chaotic tag that I put together and wrote and filmed and edited and uploaded within a 36-hour time frame, just spontaneously out of nowhere. Yeah. And it now has, I think I'm up to 16 or 1700 views on that. And there have been over 40, at least that I could find, 40 VRs. 40 VRs to my little tag, and they're all in a playlist on my channel if you haven't seen them. So yeah, my coffee house decks. I uploaded that video, I think it was mid-December, December 10th, 11th. It's almost 2 months old, but not quite. So early to mid-December, I uploaded that tag, and it's had a lot of activity, which is so fun, and I just think it's great. So thank you all who have watched and commented and shared and done a VR. It's been so much fun. Yes, it has. And something YouTube related that is not my channel, but when I was sick, I knew about her channel before, but I really started watching all the things when I was on the couch with a fever, just wanting to just do nothing. And that is Vanessa from Girl with the Dogs. Her channel is so great. If you haven't seen her content, go watch her channel. She is a professional pet groomer. She doesn't just do dogs, she does cats, which I absolutely love. She's done a pig. She's done, I think, a handful of other types of pets, and she's very, very involved in animal welfare advocacy as well. She went on a trip to Kazakhstan that was a rescue oriented trip. She's very involved in that. But her videos are so great. She has a second channel also, Girl with the Dogs 2, where she goes a little bit more in depth into the grooming process. It's very educational. But her main channel, her videos are like 3 to 5, 6 minutes long, and they're really quick, and she just kind of does like highlights of the pet grooming and of the grooming process, and she's so funny, and she does voiceovers, and she has this really awesome dry deadpan sense of humor that is just right up my alley, and I so appreciate. But I watched over half of her videos. I'm fairly confident I did while I was sick, just because I was just so engrossed in watching her groom these animals. And you just get to see so many cool dogs and cats. And a pig. Don't forget the pig. But yeah, Girl with the Dogs. Absolutely awesome channel. The next category I think I'll talk about is stationery, notebooks, anything in that kind of sphere. It's a quick one, just because I only have a couple, but they've been meaningful. So my seasonal journal, I'm going to mention that right here. My seasonal journal has been a thing. It's been a very good thing. It's been a very good reflective practice. This is a Leuchtturm 1917 softcover B5, in case you were wondering. You probably weren't, but there you are. I am going to do a video just on this, a more in-depth one, at the end of Pisces season. When winter is over, I'm going to do kind of a flip through of all of my winter entries. But yeah, it's been a thing, and I fell off of it a little bit when I wasn't feeling well, but I did do some, but I just didn't have a lot of energy for a while. But when I'm in it for hours at a time, and it's been a delightful process working in here. So my seasonal journal has been a Capricorn season joy. My other stationery-related joy for Capricorn season is my Frio pen case. I showed this in my Techo Kaigi, my part 1. I've only recently started carrying this around with me every day in my bag, and I don't know why I waited so long to do it. I guess just because when I tote my work bag around, I try to just keep it simple and not have a bunch of stuff on me. But I tossed this in one day just to see if I would use it. I use this every day at work. I get it out. This is what it looks like inside. It's a foldable case, but it's also magnetic. And so you fold the top down. It's stuck in my tombos. You fold the top down like that, and it stays. And in the end, you have a little stand. So this turns into a standing pen case. And I just put it on my counter right next to my monitor. And I'm reaching for stuff out of this all day long. And I don't know why. Like I said, I don't know why I waited so long to pack this around. I've got some microns in there. I have a Uniball Vision Elite. That's a roller ball. I have some Statlers. I have my Zebra Sarasa Grands that are my favorite things in the world pretty much right now. I have a few Tombos and a few mild liners. And my multi-pen I sometimes keep in here, but that's with my Midori right now. And it's kind of just hanging out there. So, but yeah, and then you just roll it up, tuck the flap down to keep them in, roll it up, and I love this thing. I love it. I think I want to get a case. I mentioned in my Techokaigi, I want to get a case just for my Tombos, but I'm not at that point where I have enough to justify that cost. So in the meantime, these are right in here. So yeah, my Frio pen case, I got this off of the Jet Pens website. Jet Pens is amazing. It's also a Vortex. It's one of those shut up and take my money sites, you know, and you willingly give it over because it's spectacular. So that's stationery, notebooks, pens, that kind of stuff. Next, I think I'll do, I guess, just kind of media as a whole. That's not YouTube, just like other things like books. And I think I have a few books and TV. That's what I have for this go around. So in my Sagittarius season 2022 video, the only book I mentioned was The 64 Ways. And I'm going to mention it again because I have been in this thing so much. Like I got this as a supplement to the main text, the Gene Keys text. I did not think, and I'm in this one way more at the moment just because I'm getting so much out of it. So 64 Ways is the companion book to the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. So there's that. Oh, I forgot my... Also by Richard Rudd, I forgot to grab it. It's my circuitry book. So this is Richard's experience with human design, and this is his book on circuitry, and it's beautiful. These books are expensive, but they're gorgeous, and it breaks the gates down, goes over a little bit when you have the whole channel defined, what quarter it's in, and the hexagram, and yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book. So these two by Richard Rudd, these have been a thing. I've been in these a lot. And my other book is a fiction book, and it's what I call my comfort blanket book, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is like a 1990s Book of the Month Club edition that I got at a library sale, I think for like 50 cents. Even though I'm pretty sure I put like a $5 bill in the donation just because libraries. Little Women is what I call my hook book. It's the book that hooked me on reading. I didn't really care for reading a whole lot when I was a kid. I liked being read to. I'm a very auditory person, so I liked being read to, but actually reading myself was, I could take it or leave it. But I read this in middle school, and this became my hook book, and books have been a thing for me ever since. I love Little Women. I love everything about Little Women. I love all of the movies that have been made in their own. They're all brilliant in their own way. I think my favorite one though overall is probably, I can't. It's one of the older ones. It's the version in color that's older with who was Joe? June Allison. June Allison was Joe. Elizabeth Taylor's in that one. I believe Vivian Lee is in that one. Yeah. Who played? I can't remember who played Beth in that one. But yeah, I love everything about Little Women. I love. And I was sick and not feeling well, and I was tired of nonfiction, which is something that I like never say, but I really just wanted some comfy fiction, and I just grabbed this off my shelf and dug into it a little bit. And I have the audiobook as well on Audible. So Little Women was my other book for Capricorn season. For TV, in my Sagittarius season video, I gushed about the series finale of Doc Martin and how I was so sad because the show was over. I loved what they did with the end. I thought it was perfect, and I was just so sad that it was over. Completely forgetting that they were going to make a Christmas special. So when I remembered and I saw the advertisement, I squealed like a little fangirl because I had forgotten they were going to make a Christmas special, and I had one more new Doc Martin thing to watch, and it was great. And now, but it's also really sad now because now it's really over because they aired the Christmas special and that was it. So, but it was great and I loved it. So the Doc Martin Christmas special, that's TV item number 1. Next item up for TV is Monk. So like my book thing with Little Women, I was looking for comfort TV, and I have a handful of shows that are like my comfort blankets when it comes to TV. Like for some people, I know it's a lot of the time it's Gilmore Girls, which I think is funny. I never got into that show, but Gilmore Girls is like one of the most common comfort blanket shows that I hear people talking about, which, you know, I think is interesting. For me, it's like detective murder mysteries. But yeah, Monk is one of my comfort blanket shows. I love this show so much, and I watched pretty much all the episodes when I wasn't feeling well. Not so much the earlier ones, but the later ones. I love Tony Shalhoub. I love his character. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he's highly underrated, and the show as a whole, I love it so much. I just do. So Monk was a highlight for me during Capricorn season for comfort blankie show. My second comfort blankie show was Agatha Christie's Poirot with David Suchet. David Suchet is Poirot. Fight me. But yeah, I watched a lot of the older episodes. I tend to like the older episodes, the earlier seasons of Poirot, like seasons 1 through 3 or 4, something like that in there. I watched a lot of those when I wasn't feeling well. So, yeah, Monk and Poirot, those were my comfort blankie shows, and they were amazing for me during Capricorn season when I was sick. Last and final, I'm just lumping all of the random miscellaneous things together. I think I don't a lot of people who do these kind of do a separate category for like decks. I'm not working with enough decks at one time, I don't think, to do that. So I'm kind of lumping them into the miscellaneous because I'm at a point in my practice where I'm working with specific cards from specific decks more on a longer term basis. Like, I am not a card a day person. I've only ever did that really at the beginning when I was first learning, just because it aided in my understanding of how tarot worked as a system. And I also did it with Oracle too, but the card a day for me is it's like when I draw a card, I pick a card and then I sit with it, and then by the time I'm really just sinking into what I think it might have for me, it's time to draw another card because it's the next day. And I'm just like, nah, no. So I just allow myself to sit with cards for a little bit longer. So I just don't use that many decks on a regular basis for them to have their own category. So miscellaneous it is. So I am going to talk about this one again because I have to. I've gushed about this ad nauseum, this deck. I think I said that in one of my other videos about this deck too. Gushed about it ad nauseum. Wisdom of Hafiz. This is a Tobal Sullens collaboration there. They have another deck, which is Love Who You Are. It's very similar to this one. It's one of those practical advice decks, but with really glossy cardstock. I use these for my advice for my deacons. I drew an advice card at the beginning of each deacon in Capricorn, and I am doing that now as well, just with a different deck. But I love these cards. There's the back. But I watched a walkthrough of the Love Who You Are deck, the other deck by this collaborative team, on Spirited Stardust. I really hope I got that right. I'll correct it. I'll put a visual over here of what her channel icon thing looks like. But she did a walkthrough, a really good one, of the Love Who You Are deck. And I have this vision in my head of getting that deck and combining it with this one, just because I think they're the same size and they also both have the gold edging. So I think it would be kind of a seamless integration. And I think that would be like my mega deck of advice. I love this deck, and it was very meaningful to me. In my video on the lessons from Saturn, the year ahead reading part 2, I went into this deck a little bit more with a particular card and how it influenced the rest of my season from there, of which I also did a video about of my working with Cledons. So there's kind of a connection there. So Wisdom of Hafiz. Next in the realm of decks, I'm just going to show one card. I'm not going to show the whole deck because it really was just this one card that had impact. This is the Patience card from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. This was my anchor card for Capricorn season. And it was extremely profound for me. I'm still working with this energy. In fact, the energy of the archetype of Saturn as a deity figure has been making itself known to me. And I've mentioned deity before in videos, and how my relationship with deity is a little bit different than I think a lot of people approach it. I've mentioned a little bit about my experience with Venus and how that kind of came about, and the Saturn energy is kind of making its presence known to me in a similar way. So I don't know if that's going to go any further, but it might. But I got this during Capricorn season. Capricorn, of course, is ruled by Saturn. I am in a 6th house perfection year, and my Saturn is in my 6th house. It's kind of a thing right now. So we'll see where this goes. But yeah, this was a thing. Patience. This is the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, and there's the back. This is Victoria Mosley. It's published by U.S. Games. Wisdom of Hafiz is also published by U.S. Games. Okay, non-deck related miscellaneous. I have to include Christmas just because it was a good time. My son was still kind of recovering from having his wisdom teeth removed. It was really low key. We just hung out. We watched movies. We opened our few gifts that we had, because I've talked before about how the majority of our Christmas money is going to our trip in April, but we did still have a few things here. Sagittarius season, I mentioned our Christmas tree. That was also a thing. I was actually really sad to see our Christmas tree go this year, but it was time, but it was, I was very sentimental about it, which I'm not usually, but yeah. Christmas and the Christmas tree, that was a thing for early Capricorn season. Yeah, just good time. And that whole stretch into the new year actually was really good, as far as just quality time and just enjoying ourselves. So that was a good first deck in Capricorn. Was really, really good. That's the first miscellaneous thing, just Christmas as a whole. The last little random, no, I have 2. Second to last random miscellaneous is my Aveda hand repair cream. Really random, I know, but I was really, really dehydrated the entire time. Even though I was drinking water like a fish, I was dehydrated pretty much the entire time I was sick. My skin was dry. Everything just I felt a bit like prunish, just kind of shriveled, and everything about my skin was dry, and this stuff saved me. I am a bit of an Aveda girl. I do like a lot of Aveda things. And this doesn't look like it's a big tube, but I'm telling you, you need literally that much. And it will cover both of your hands and then some. It's just, it's amazing. I think I've had this tube 18 months and I think I'm like here. And I use it regularly. But yeah, one more time. amazing stuff. Last but not least, since we're talking about dehydration, I will have to mention my Swell water bottle. I featured my mug, I think, in my Sagittarius. Ooh, and that's so shiny. But this is the standard, I think this is 17 ounces. My Swell water bottle is just a regular twist cap, but I love this bottle. It keeps things cold. It doesn't leave that funky aftertaste. It's all stainless steel inside. And they had an offer to have your name put on the bottle for free. It was like a special promotion deal. So I had my name on there. My first name is actually Kristen. I go by Kay because it's a nickname that my aunt gave me years ago. But my first name is actually Kristen, spelled like that. So I have my name on it. And this thing was really handy when I wasn't feeling well. It's really lightweight. It's easy to tote around. I can toss it in my bag. And it doesn't leak. It doesn't leak, which is really fantastic, and it's a lot more than I can say for a lot of other bottles I had. So yeah, my Swell water bottle is awesome. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, this one was a little more low-key, I think, just because it was Capricorn season was hard. I got my lessons handed to me big time during January as a whole. First part of Aquarius season got better, but I was still, then the energy became a little more frantic and busy with stuff for my son, appointments and things that he had to go to. And so it went from like low energy to frenetic kind of almost overnight. And so I kind of feel like now I'm sort of in that recovery period and just kind of leveling everything out, and my best of Aquarius season video I think will be pretty good. But that's what I have for this one. And all of these things, they might seem minute and simple, but they got me through. Let me tell you, because it was a time. I'm kind of on a filming roll. I think I might actually film one more when you will probably see me in my Hufflepuff shirt again. So there might be one more out, maybe by tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, okay, I'm gonna go now. Until my next video, take care and be well.